As artificial intelligence finds its way into more and more of our developer tools, I like to have a text editor that I know will be exactly as I want it to be with no artificial intelligence. Historically, for that, I have used LunarVim. Now, LunarVim is a Neovim distribution. It happens to be my favorite, with one pretty significant drawback, and that is that LunarVim has not been updated basically for 2 years. There was an update 7 months ago, but it was very minor, and I don't think they even made a release for that. So it's essentially a dead project. I've tried some other Neovim distributions. Unfortunately, LunarVim remains my favorite. Chris at Machine did a great job with this. I just don't know where he is these days. If you use LunarVim in its current configuration with the most recent version of Neovim, you'll run into many errors. I have two solutions for this. The first solution is that instead of running the most recent version of Neovim when you're using LunarVim, you can choose to run an older version of Neovim, specifically 0.9.5. The other solution that I have is that I have shamelessly vibe coded a fork of LunarVim, which I'm calling CKLunarVim. And I make no promises that if there is ever an update to LunarVim, that CKLunarVim will update itself to match. This is basically just me wanting a working version of LunarVim for myself, and I do not expect any updates to be made to the original LunarVim, so I'm making my own. So first of all, here's the LunarVim website, and I'm not going to really walk you through it right now, but let's take a look at Neovim. So this is the Neovim repository. And if you come here to releases, you can see all of the historical releases. If you look through this page, you'll see that the most recent release of Neovim is 0.11.5. As I mentioned earlier, LunarVim cannot use anything more recent than 0.9.5. So if you search on the releases, you can find the 0.9.5 release. And you can come down and click on assets and find whichever asset is relevant to you. So for me, I am using macOS, so I would either use this one that would not have the code signing or this one with the SHA-256 sum, which is used for code signing. Now I have already downloaded and installed this, but essentially what I have done is I have placed this folder nvim at 0.9.5 in my root directory, and it's got all the required assets in here. And then in my script to launch LunarVim, my computer's managed by homebrew version of Neovim with the 0.9.5 version, which is in my home directory. And in so doing, I can run LunarVim without all the associated errors of using the most recent version of Neovim. I have taken some time today using Cursor to make all of the changes I think that need to be made in order to use my fork of LunarVim instead of LunarVim, but there might be problems with it. I have no idea. I haven't used it too much yet, but essentially, if you come to this GitHub repo, which I will link in the description, you can run the uninstall script, which is the same for LunarVim as CKLunarVim. So if I search here, if you're on Linux or macOS, you could just run this command right here, and I'll actually do it to demonstrate. So we will remove LunarVim, and then you can install, following the README instructions, CKLunarVim using this quick install script. So you just copy it here and run it like that. And I already have Neovim installed, so I'll say no. I have these dependencies installed, so I'll say no. And it will set up my configuration. This error has come up for me with installations. I don't have a fix for it yet. I might have to add, what Cursor suggested was graceful handling of this function. I'm not sure if that's the best solution or not yet, but you can just cancel the script, Control-C, exit the script. And now I'll go to my LunarVim config directory and I'll run it here. And you can see this is the default configuration that I have for the CKLunarVim fork, and it's got some settings that I like, but feel free to change it. I tried to keep CKLunarVim as much in line with LunarVim as possible. I don't want to reinvent the wheel, so this is essentially just my old LunarVim config. I made a couple changes as I was going through all of this, but it's pretty simple, nothing too crazy. I did add gitblane as well as minimap. So on the right side over here, you can see this minimap. If I go to like my normal size, it's pretty small. And I think that's it. you should be able to freely use CKLunarVim without any of the errors that you would get with the most recent version of Neovim in regular LunarVim. If there are errors, feel free to open pull requests or issues in GitHub. I make no promises that I'll get to them. I'll probably certainly see them. I check GitHub pretty frequently. So anyway, that is my introduction to CKLunarVim. I hope for the however many of you there are who are still trying to use LunarVim that this proves to be helpful. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. I'll try to be responsive to all of them, and I'll catch you in the next video.